Hi everyone. I'm I'm working on my sweater of Annapolis right now. Annapolis, Maryland, that is. Like my planned design is, as you see, there's boats. This is the water of the Annapolis harbor, and at the top I'm going to have all different buildings like around this area of the sweater. The one I'm wearing now is my Cape May sweater, which this is a Victorian style house. There's really one that looks similar to this in Cape May, and the back of it has a lighthouse. It's the one I just happened to be wearing at random today. So right now I'm going to begin on a purl row. So I'm inserting the needle this way toward like the end of the needle like that because it's a purl row. And I'm going to start purling in blue until I reach this section over here. There's a single stitch of tan here, which is actually the last stitch at the tip of that boat. So I'll show you what I'll do there. That will be the first thing besides actually purling in blue that I'll do. That I'll show you, and you'll get a taste of what it is. So this is one of several works in progress that I have going on right now. I'm trying to finish up, and because it's been a year in which I haven't traveled except by car, I haven't gotten a lot of sweaters done of distant landmarks like I usually do. So here I've gotten up to this point, and this is the last stitch of this boat over here. So I'm taking the tail of it, crossing it on top of the blue yarn here, and then I'm going to purl into the tan and complete it with a blue stitch, just like that. And I'm going to pull this tight, but not too tight. I'm finished with this. I don't even need it to be this long. So I'm just going to break it with my bare hands. This is waste yarn at this point. Even though I called it waste yarn, it could find some other purpose in some other craft. And I'm going to keep on purling in blue up until I reach this point over here, which is the next boat in line. So with this one, I'm going to narrow the tan area. So here I've reached this point here. I'm going to take the tan yarn like this, cross it over the blue, and then I'm moving the blue inward, so I'm going to purl it in blue, and then I'm going to take the tan and pull it not too forcefully. You want to be gentle with this yarn because it can be quite fragile, especially the blue yarn is fragile. So hi to everyone who's saying hi in the comments. So I'm going to purl this area in tan over here. And then I'm going to stop one stitch short of this blue over here, because over here I've got another skein of blue yarn over here. I'm going to purl underneath with it, and then purl with it till the end of the row. I'm just going to reach down and get something. There. So this goes blue till the end of the row. So as I'm working on this, here's a little tangle here, and that's not that hard to deal with. It's not as bad as it looks here when you have a tangle like this sometimes. It's just a part of multicolored knitting or any knitting for that matter, but especially multicolored knitting, that tangles like that happens sometimes. Someone asked in one of my TikTok comments how long it takes to make a sweater, and the answer to that is about a month, but it's not like every sweater takes me exactly a month. Some take less than that to do, some take much longer to do. It completely varies. I'm going to work on getting this untangled, tangling is a fact of life while you do this intarsia. And I'm used to it after all this time I've been doing it. I'm just going to get to the row and then I'll show you how I untangle, because I want to teach that to people as well. I'm just trying to get enough of this yarn to get to the end of the row before I jump into the untangling. Sometimes it gets stuck. There, I got enough, and then I shall be able to untangle after this. And there, that's good. So the next step is I'm going to show you on video how I untangle. So there's 3 skeins of blue here. I'm going to take this one. I take from the ball part of it, and every other kind of yarn here, I try to remove it from that, because then it's one less piece of yarn to be untangled. I'm going to stretch this out a little, and then go underneath of all this, and then I'm going to go under this. Here's another area where I have to get it wrapped around from. This is a very fragile yarn, so as I say, you have to be gentle with it. It's made of a mixture of silk and cotton, and silk, as you know, if you've ever seen it before, silk is very fragile. So I'm almost done with this one. The more untangled you get it, the easier it is to untangle the rest. There we go. Someone just on Facebook asked me if I have a general pattern that I follow, and the answer is I do not use patterns. I freehand everything. So here's one of the 4 skeins of yarn free. I'm going to move on to another, and since this will only be one of 3 I'm trying to untangle, it'll be a lot easier. So once again, hi to everyone who has just joined me. And this tangle, as you saw, it was a lot easier because the less stuff you have in here, the less now, because there's only 2 more to untangle. It doesn't matter which one I take. I'm going to take the tan one for a change. And just unwrap it from here. Unravel all the blue, go under like that, and roll it up as I go along. Just go through here like that. And there, it's free. And then here's the last one. The only thing you have to do is just unravel it like this. I'm holding it high up in the air, so gravity will do the work. So the one piece of good news this summer is I'm actually in talks with some people about teaching classes within driving range of Baltimore. So that means since I'm not ready to get on an airplane yet, I probably won't be until at least the fall, I'm going to be teaching classes for fully vaccinated people maybe 4 to 5 people in a class throughout the summer. And all these will have to be in locations where it's within maybe several hours driving up Baltimore. And then maybe in the fall, I'll feel more comfortable going on airplanes, and I'll get on a plane and I'll go somewhere in other parts of the country. But for now, I'll just stick to the Mid-Atlantic region. States like Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and maybe New York, New England, the Carolinas, states in those areas that I can drive to within several hours, maybe an overnight stay included. And I'll be able to teach some of these skills to people in person, and maybe give like an outdoor speech, preferably outdoors, in which I can tell my story like I do so many times, and have people sit in chairs that are spaced a certain distance apart from each other, just like I do. And of course I would try to knit a sweater of a landmark in the place I travel to as well. So I'm excited about getting back to the life I was leading before of traveling and teaching. So here's this last piece of yarn that was tangled into it. This is actually the tail from the bottom corner, which is used to sew up a sweater. So I'm going to take that around 2 of my fingers, wrap it up like that, and then just pull this through, and hopefully this will be stable for a long time. Now back to knitting. So on the next row, I'm going to do something quite interesting. I'm going to start knitting up to maybe 10, 15 stitches or so. And this is going to be the beginning of a new boat. This will be boat number 4. So someone asked me how I'm doing. Today I'm fine. I also got a comment about the cicadas. Maybe someone is hearing them in the background. So I'm not wearing my cicada sweater today. I wore that in my last live video, so I wanted to wear something else today. But the cicadas are still around here, and they're alive and well, and we could still hear them outside, and they're quite noisy. And I was in the local news last week for my cicada sweater, and it included the picture I took in front of a tree full of cicadas. So anyway, I'm going to go up to this point here, and then I'm going to introduce some new yarn. I'm going to insert the needle into the stitch right here, knitwise, and then I'm going to take the new yarn here, and I'm going to leave a tail maybe around 6 inches or so, give or take, drape it over the needle that I just inserted, like that, pull the needle under, and then off. So that'll create the first stitch. So then I'm going to take the feeder, not the tail side, but the feeder side from the ball, and I'm going to take it under the blue yarn here, and then I'm going to take the tail and cross it like that. So this way it'll stay securely in there. And then I'm going to knit with it 7 more stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that will be a total of 8 stitches, because the bottom of this boat is going to be 8 stitches wide. Next, since I'm not going to carry this blue yarn across that many stitches, what I'm going to do instead at this point is I'm going to introduce another skein of blue yarn, which I've got right here. I'm going to do the same thing. Take a tail about maybe 6 inches, give or take. Insert the needle into the yarn like that, knitwise. Take the tail, drape it over the needle that I just inserted and take that needle under and off to complete the stitch. And then once again, same thing again. I'm going to take the needle, the yarn under the needle here, and then the tail like that, and cross it over to complete the stitch. And then I'm going to knit the second stitch. And then with each of these upcoming stitches, this makes it so I won't have to nitpick this at the end. I'm just going to take the tail and cross it over each of the stitches up until I reach this point here where I have the tan yarn. So that's maybe about 10 to 15 stitches. So that way when I finish the sweater, I will just be able to chop this off with a pair of scissors. I won't have to take a needlepoint needle and weave it into all these other stitches, a process that I call nitpicking. So someone just asked me on TikTok, do I ever make any sweaters for my wife or perhaps a dress? And the answer is yes, in the past I did, and I actually made quite a lot of them. But my wife isn't into wearing them anymore. But for a while she was. And someone else asked me on the TikTok phone that I'm using, am I self-taught? And the answer is, I learned how to knit from the owners of 2 yarn shops, but I'm self-taught in doing all this color work. So 2 more stitches here. And now we're up to the tan, and every tan stitch from the previous row will be exactly the same. It'll be tan in this row. So I'm going to take the tan yarn, cross it under the blue yarn in this case, and just knit it exactly like it was in the previous row. Someone asked me if I can auction them off for charity, and I'll tell you, after I do this final switch here in the row, I'll talk about that. So here I'm going to take this blue yarn and cross it under the tan, and then knit that one, and it'll just be knitting blue to the end of the row. So the reality is, as I was mentioning before, it takes me a month or longer to make one of these sweaters. So it's not practical for me to sell them or to auction them for charity or anything. It's just not possible for me to be a human sweater mill. So what I do to make money off of this is 2 things. Number 1, I sell them as t-shirts, and I'll show you one of my t-shirts between rows, and I make money off of that. And the other thing I do is I have a birthday sweater and I sing happy birthday in that, and I donate 10% of all the money I make to charity. And the types of charity I donate to are to help people with things like food and rent and all kinds of other basic expenses. Those are the main types of charity I support. So I donate 10% of my income from anything I do that's knitting related to charity. Sometimes even more, but at least 10%. So now I'm done with the row. So while I'm between rows, I'll show you. So this is what I offer. So people ask me all the time if I sell my sweaters. And the answer, as I said, is I can't be a human sweater mill and make them to sell. So as you see, this is my dinosaur sweater over here. That's one of more than 150 I have made with my own designs. And here, this is a printed t-shirt replica of it. As you see, this is the same design printed onto a t-shirt. So I sell these. They're on my website, sambarsky.com. And they're $39 each, plus shipping. So whatever profit I make from that, I donate 10% to charity. The other thing I do, related to my knitting, that I make money off of today is I have this birthday sweater here. And I sing happy birthday. I record videos singing happy birthday to people. And I don't charge a fixed price for that. Instead, I allow people to pay anything they wish to pay. So people can pay whatever is in their budget. And I'm open to all budgets doing this. So people pay me whatever they can afford, whatever they want to pay. And I donate 10% of that to charity. And I offered a birthday sweater as a t-shirt as well. And I even have scrunchies. This is a scrunchie of my birthday sweater, like a hair scrunchie to wear in the back of the hair. I don't have long enough hair for it myself, but for those who do, who want a hair scrunchie, that's another option. They're $7 each plus shipping. I have 22 designs available as t-shirts and scrunchies. And hopefully I'll have other garments available in the future as well, as soon as the company that makes these for me offers them. And but when I do a birthday video, someone sends me the name of the person it is for, and then I record a video. That's how it works. I communicate either by email or Instagram. So now I'm going to do one more row on live video for you, for those of you who are watching either on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. So now I'm going to go purlwise into the needle, and then I'm going to start purling here. This row is going to be almost like the previous row. There's one place where I'm going to expand upon it, and since I added a new row of white yarn, I'll have to show you what I do with that. This is what you have to do the second row after you add something. So as I was mentioning about ways I make money from my knitting, I'm about to resume the third way, as I was mentioning earlier, sometime soon, which is giving speeches and teaching classes while I travel to the various places. And that's my favorite thing to do of all, because I enjoy meeting people in person. I enjoy meeting my fans and showing them my sweaters and teaching my skills to other people. So now I've reached the tan yarn, so I just crossing the tan underneath the blue here. It's going to be exactly like it was in the previous row. I haven't even decided what the sweater is going to look like exactly at the top. All I know is I'm going to put various buildings from the city of Annapolis on it, but I have to decide which ones, because there are many to choose from. Now the blue crosses under the tan. So once again, hi to a lot of people who are saying hi to me. So the next row of white here, as you see, this one, as you recall, has 8 white stitches. The next one is going to have 10 white stitches, since I'm making it trapezoid shaped. Here I'm going to cross the white under the blue here. And I'm going to insert it into the blue. This will expand the white stitches by 1. And then I'm going to purl in white up to the second to last white stitch over here. But before I do this final white stitch, I'm going to take the tail, cross it on top of the feeder yarn like that. This will lock it in place. It'll just make it more secure. And after completing the stitch, I'm going to gently pull on the tail. And then I'm going to take the blue on top of the white because I'm expanding it by one stitch in this direction and purl another stitch. And then I'm going to gently pull the blue to get the needle and stitch close together, or else there will be a gap. And then I'm going to just purl the blue to the end of the row. And then I'll be finishing after that. So now it's done. So thank you everyone for joining me, everyone who joined, everyone who watched me. And for those of you who watch me on Facebook, the video will be live afterward. The live video will be permanently up on my page. For those of you who watch me on Instagram or TikTok, there's going to be little clips of the video that I will post after the fact. So, bye everyone.